Let's get started with our first news. Movsar Evloev says he would never fight Islam Makhachev. Evloev explained why this matchup is off the table for him under any circumstance. When asked during an interview what a fight between him and Islam would look like, Evloev didn't hesitate. He simply said, "This guy can kill me." There was no ego, no bravado, just pure honesty. Then, in a moment that showed his deep admiration, he followed up by repeating, "I respect that. I respect it. I respect that." It was clear that his respect for Islam isn't just about Islam's dominance in the cage. It's about their relationship outside of it as well. So what is it exactly that makes Islam so special in Evloev's eyes? Why is he so firmly against the idea of fighting him? Evloev gave a heartfelt answer. He said, "Because he's my older brother. I'm never going to fight him." That statement wasn't just about blood relations. It was about loyalty, brotherhood, and the deep bonds that go far beyond the sport. In Evloev's mind, there's more to life than just winning a fight, and some lines are never meant to be crossed. It's similar to the well-known situation between Aljo and Merab, two elite-level athletes, both capable of becoming champions, yet unwilling to fight each other because of the brotherhood they've built. This kind of loyalty is rare in a sport where most fighters are constantly climbing over each other for their shot at the top. People love to fantasize about what it would be like to see two dominant forces collide. And yes, when big names are involved, there's always fan demand. But when those names are close, like family, it just doesn't sit right. It doesn't feel natural to force a fight between people who genuinely care for each other. Evloev made it crystal clear that no matter the money or the hype, he values his bond with Islam more than any title shot. Michael Bisping also chimed in on the topic. As someone who's been in the fight game for years and has seen just about everything, Bisping acknowledged the complexity of these types of matchups. He understood where Evloev was coming from. Fighters like Islam and Evloev aren't just training partners, they're brothers in every sense of the word. And sometimes that's more important than what fans want to see inside the octagon. And now let's move on to the second news. Merab Dvalishvili has made it absolutely clear that he believes it would be a huge mistake, downright stupid, for the UFC to book a fight between Ilia Topuria and Charles Oliveira. In his view, that matchup simply doesn't make sense, especially considering where Ilia currently stands in the lightweight division. According to Merab, Ilia has already proven that he belongs in the lightweight category, and not just as a contender, he's the champion. And as a champion, Merab believes Ilia should be granted the fight he truly deserves, a shot at the reigning king, Islam Makhachev. Speaking on the matter, Merab passionately explained, "He's not a featherweight, he's a lightweight, he's the champion. Who do you have?" Merab then acknowledged the hesitation coming from Islam's side. "I know Islam is saying, 'Oh, I don't want to fight small guys,'" he continued, "but Ilia is the biggest name out there right now, and it's hard to argue with that. Ilia has already racked up wins over some of the division's best. He beat Arman Tsarukyan, he beat Charles Oliveira, he even beat Dustin Poirier. These aren't just wins, they're statements." And Merab knows just how tough it's going to be for Ilia moving forward. "It's not going to be an easy fight for Ilia," he admitted, "but that's the fight." Despite his admiration for Ilia, Merab made it clear that he's concerned about the risk involved in putting him up against Oliveira again. He said, "Ilia is my friend, I love him, but it's going to be stupid if he fights Oliveira again. If he loses to Oliveira, then we lose the super fight, and that's the main concern, losing the momentum for what could be one of the biggest lightweight title fights in recent memory. A bout between Islam Makhachev and Ilia Topuria would be a true clash of champions, something fans around the world would love to see, but throwing Ilia into a risky matchup with Oliveira before that happens, it just doesn't make sense to Merab." Even Daniel Cormier had something to say about the situation. While his take wasn't as direct, he echoed the sentiment that the UFC should be careful with how they handle this. With so much on the line, every move matters. Moving on to some behind-the-scenes drama, Daniel Cormier recently opened up about a wild moment from the build-up to one of his legendary fights with Jon Jones. During an episode of the Good Guy Bad Guy show, Cormier shared a story that perfectly captures just how heated and personal his rivalry with Jon truly was. Cormier recalled an intense confrontation where a comment he made completely set Jon off. It all started during one of their infamous pre-fight arguments, the kind of verbal back and forth that would make headlines and leave fans buzzing. But this particular moment stood out, not because of what Jon said, but because of what Cormier said to Jon's publicist. "One time Jon and I were arguing. Cormier began, painting the picture. I looked over at his publicist, who was just standing there trying to manage the chaos, and I pointed to her and said, "You have the worst job in history. I feel sorry for you. I feel sorry that you're tasked with trying to keep this psychopath under control." That's right, he called John a psychopath right in front of him, and you can imagine how John reacted. According to Cormier, John was standing right there, and the moment he heard those words, he lost it. John was so mad, Cormier said. The one thing about John, he's not always the best with his words. He doesn't always know how to respond in the moment, but you could just see it in his eyes. He wanted to kill me. No joke. If he had a gun in that moment, he would have shot me. That's how furious he was. And Cormier wasn't exaggerating the tension. This wasn't just some fight hype. This was a real, raw hatred between two of the sport's most intense competitors. He even ended the story with sympathy for the poor publicist who was caught in the crossfire. "Poor girl," Cormier added. "She just stood there like, what did I get myself into?" It's moments like these that remind fans how real the rivalry between Cormier and Jon Jones truly was. It wasn't just about belts or fame, it was personal, deeply personal, and that's exactly why their battles are still talked about to this day. Next up, Sean Strickland is back in the headlines, and once again, it's not for a UFC fight, but for sparring another influencer. This time, it was with Nick Nana, also known online as Nick Nayersina, and just like his previous sparring session with the controversial streamer Sneeko, Sean did not hold back. Before the session even began, Sean was already taking shots. He posted to his Instagram, calling Nick out with a backhanded compliment. "Nick Nayersina, you're a really nice guy," Sean wrote. "And I don't mean that as a compliment, but you're an okay person." And just in case anyone thought Sean invited this matchup, he made it clear he didn't. "I didn't reach out to this guy. I didn't say, hey influencer, come spar me. I've just been seeing this guy drop," he said, referring to Nick's training content online. Then Sean got even more intense. "Can I say something right now? You crippled. This is the start of a beautiful friendship. It's right here. It's right now." Classic Strickland, sarcastic, confrontational, and chaotic. After the session, Nick posted a short clip on X, formerly known as Twitter, saying, "I'm a man of my word. I said I would show up and I did. Thank you, Sean Strickland, for your time. When should I drop the full YouTube video?" The clip instantly blew up. Sean was all over him in the spar. Heavy pressure, non-stop shots, no mercy. And while some fans found it hilarious, others were not impressed. Criticism came in fast. Many pointed out that Sean seems to go much harder against influencers than he ever does in real UFC fights. One top comment said, "Where was this aggression against Costa?" Another replied, "He never fights like this in the Octagon, so nobody cares." Some fans even accused Sean of targeting easy opponents, saying, "These are the only fights this bum can win lately." And perhaps the harshest comment of all, Strickland is a bully and a coward. In response to the backlash, Sean posted a GIF on X showing Jose Aldo crying at his UFC Hall of Fame induction. The caption said, "Sean Strickland when an influencer shows up wanting to spar." Sean replied, "We're on a fitness journey." Later, he went on Instagram stories, saying, "It's more fun sparring influencers than actual fighters." Then he added, "I just got done sparring. Got hit in the head quite a bit today, but I realized it's way more fun to spar influencers than UFC fighters. But I guess that's my job. Love him or hate him, Sean Strickland knows how to stay in the spotlight." Next up, let's talk about Paddy Pimblett, who just sent a heartfelt message to Michael Chandler after their highly anticipated clash inside the Octagon. While most fans expected trash talk or mind games before and after the fight, Paddy took a completely different route, one filled with respect and sportsmanship. Shortly after the bout, Paddy shared a video from inside the locker room on Instagram, and the vibe was nothing but wholesome. The caption read, "It was an absolute pleasure to share the cage with such a legend of the sport. Nothing but respect for him before the fight, and even more after we fought." In the video, you can see Paddy sitting down, visibly emotional but smiling, showing admiration for the man he had just gone to war with. He looked directly into the camera and said, "Thank you very much again, bro. Thank you for having me on. Appreciate it." You could tell this wasn't just some generic fight promo. Paddy truly meant it. The two had shared a battle in the cage, and regardless of who had their hand raised, what mattered to Paddy was the experience and the respect they shared. For many fans, this was a different side of Paddy, known for his larger-than-life personality, wild walkouts, and sometimes outrageous interviews, seeing him in a calm, grateful, and almost humbled state was refreshing. It reminded people that beneath the persona, Paddy is a real martial artist, someone who honors the sport and respects his opponents. As for Michael Chandler, he hasn't officially responded yet, but given his track record of mutual respect, especially with opponents who bring the fight, you can bet he appreciated Paddy's words. Chandler has always spoken about the importance of representing the sport with integrity, and it's clear this bout left both men with newfound respect for one another. Fans flooded the comment section with praise. One user wrote, "This is what MMA is all about. Warriors going to battle and showing love afterward." Another added, "Real recognize real. Chandler is a beast, and Paddy just earned a lot of respect." Even some former fighters chimed in, saying this kind of sportsmanship is what keeps the spirit of martial arts alive in modern MMA. Whether you love or hate Paddy Pimblett, moments like these remind us that the fight game is about more than just violence. It's about honor, growth, and respect between warriors. Now, let's dive into the latest discussion involving Michael Bisping and Paul Felder, who recently shared their honest thoughts on a potential interim middleweight title fight between Khamzat Chimaev and Caio Borralho. This conversation came up after reigning champ Dricus du Plessis was officially sidelined due to injury, throwing a wrench into the division's immediate future. Both Chimaev and Bajio wasted no time jumping on the opportunity, calling for an interim title fight to fill the gap, while du Plessis recovers. But on the Believe You Me podcast, Bisping and Felder made it clear this doesn't make a lot of sense right now. Bisping kicked things off, saying, "I haven't seen what the injury is exactly, but what we do know is he's out. Khamzat's been talking smack. Dricus has been talking smack. They've been going back and forth." Then Bajio steps up and says, "I'll fight Khamzat. Let's make it for an interim strap." That would be silly. I don't think it needs to be. Felder backed him up, adding, "But if they really want to headline a card or boost the hype, then it becomes a bit tougher." First of all, there's no actual need for an interim belt here. Maybe the UFC still does it, who knows? Maybe they want to make it look sexier and jazzier, but from where I'm sitting, it's just not necessary right now. Bisping chimed in again with more context. Dricus literally just fought back in February. He was getting ready to defend his title again, and he picked up an injury during camp. Now listen, not all injuries are the same. If we find out it's going to be 6 months, 9 months, a year, then we might be back in a situation like Tom Aspinall and John Jones. That's different, but right now, it's too soon to panic. In the meantime, fans were treated to some new training footage of Khamzat Chimaev, showing the Chechen-Swedish star deep into grappling drills and looking razor sharp. It's clear he's preparing for whoever steps in next, possibly Bajio, who's currently ranked number 6 in the division and seems eager for the challenge. One thing's for sure, whether it's an interim title or not, if Khamzat Chimaev and Caio Borralho do square off, it'll be a high-stakes fight with serious implications for the future of the middleweight division. Last but not least, let's talk about the Sugar Shawn O'Malley. Over the weekend, the MMA world was buzzing with rumors that Shawn had been spotted on crutches, setting off alarm bells across the community. The speculation quickly escalated, especially since Shawn is scheduled for one of the biggest rematches in the division, against none other than Merab Dvalishvili. With fight fans eagerly anticipating this clash, the thought of an injury threw everyone into panic mode. But on Monday, the noise was quickly quieted when Shawn's longtime coach, Tim Welch, stepped in. Tim posted a video on his Instagram story showing Shawn actively doing wall work, a sign that training is very much on track. The clip showed Shawn maintaining his signature footwork and timing, reassuring fans that Sugar is still locked in for June 7th at the Credential Center. While Shawn is coming off surgery, it looks like all systems are go for fight night. That said, there's still debate around which version of O'Malley will show up in the Octagon. Fellow bantamweight contender Mario Batista offered his honest take during an interview with Home Fight. He reflected on O'Malley's recent performance at the Sphere, where Shawn didn't quite seem like himself. Batista said, "I thought he looked a little flat in that fight. If that's the same Shawn that shows up against Merab, he's in for a long night." But Batista also added a twist. If the Shawn that fought Chito Vera shows up, the one with the movement, the confidence, the killer instinct, then it's a completely different story. I honestly think he has a really good chance of knocking Merab out. In fact, I think he's gonna have to knock Merab out if he wants to win. Batista's prediction lines up with what many analysts are saying. Merab is a relentless pressure fighter, with cardio for days and a grappling heavy style that's tough to stop. So unless Shawn can keep the fight standing and land those sniper shots, things could get dicey. UFC. As of now, the latest betting line suggests the MMA community is expecting the rematch to play out similar to their first encounter, but if Shawn can stay healthy and show up at 100%, this rematch could surprise a lot of people. One thing's for sure, June 7th is going to be fireworks.